Thank you for joining me today on the Who God Says podcast. I am your host and Kingdom Ambassador, TyShaundra. Hi, hi, hi. Today we have a special guest. He is such a new, fresh spirit. I'm actually drawn to him. He's so sweet. He's a poet, a speaker, and also a podcaster and a disciple of Christ. Dallin Candland, how are you?
Things are
Welcome.
great, TyShaundra. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Just learning more how he wants me to play at a higher level, and he's taking me to that level, and I'm just like, yes! I'm so excited. Yes, it's so beautiful. It's just the most amazing thing ever. I'm so excited.
Oh, that is so awesome. I mean, we've talked a lot and we've talked about having the faith to kind of step forward, having that confidence and also like a refresher of our faith when we're moving into different levels with God and where he wants to take us. So I am excited that you have that courage and that confidence to take your hand off the wheel and allow God to lead. And it's scary, but it is tremendous. Like, you never want to say, I'm doing this because I know it'll make me feel better, but it eventually does. It does. It being in total surrender to God is basically, you know that someone has your back. Growing up as a child, I always wanted to know somebody had my back, and it was my dad for me. So that relationship that I established with God, it was a little bit easier for me because I had my dad. I had that example. And when you're able to not be in control and it's still all right, that type of reassurance, that type of just settlement, that is where I believe contentment comes from. When you're able to not be in control and it's still all right. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
great. Mhm.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
something God's taught me a lot about is his alignment. And when he has brought you to something to bring you closer to him, even if it doesn't make much sense to other people, like that's a beautiful thing because it's getting you closer to the bigger thing that he's doing. It's like any small win, it's getting you closer to that identity he sees in you. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Yeah. So, Dalen, where did you grow up?
So I lived in Maryland until I was about 10, and then my family moved to North Carolina. And my parents are great examples to me of just like moving on God's direction. Like when it's time to move, we move. When we got to do this, we do that. And it's really amazing because they've been a good example to me of playing the long game. You know,
Yeah.
they've trusted God with the long game, and I'm grateful for that. But yeah, my cousins moved here, and then we visited here, and the pricing in Maryland was going up, and my parents were both like, we need to move here. And it just, God made a way. God made a
Yep.
way. In like 6 months, we were living in a house here. So
Wow.
he moves
Wow.
quickly. When it's time, he moves quickly. It's crazy.
Yes. Sometimes it's scary, but he does. He moves quickly. So would you say you grew up in a religious household?
Yeah, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and my parents, they taught me much about just praying, and I think trusting God was something I really learned a lot more on my own and
Yeah.
learning to hear his voice more. But they did a great job of teaching me about just Jesus. And I think that's really what we really need to hit on as much as possible. Just that he suffered for your sins, that he's aware of what you're going through, that he's felt all of the parts of your story you'd like to erase. Like I know that feeling so well because he literally
Yeah.
was there. He knows all that stuff, and my parents are good examples of Christ, and so you get to know him better through them.
Yeah. What when did you accept Christ as your savior? Like how old were you? Do you remember?
You know, I was baptized at 8, but
Wow.
I know that there was experiences and things that God was trying to get my attention. And you know, my first book is called God is Trying to Talk to Me, and it's literally that has been a very much a thing of my life where it's like doors shut and I'm putting in all this work, and that's the only way I can explain it, is like God was trying to get my attention and wanted me to talk with him about things. And I think there's just been a lot of different experiences. And I actually prepared for this question a little bit. I was like, I knew I was going to get asked this, but I just was like, I think the accepting has taken time. And even just today too, like that's what I did. I accepted and said,
Yeah.
you know what? I accept this mission as far as I understand it, and I accept whatever happens. I think one of the other times I'll share, when I was 10 years old, I went in for a routine checkup, and all of a sudden my mom was on the phone. It's like, I don't want to take him to the hospital. He doesn't need a hospital. We don't want to scare the poor child. And it was like just a checkup, right? And she's like, you have an appendicitis and you need to get to the hospital right now because that thing's about to burst.
Oh, wow.
And within an hour, I was getting surgery done, and it did end up bursting inside of me. And so a lot of poison spread throughout my body and such. And I needed to stay at the hospital longer. But it was literally like, again, the timing thing.
Yeah.
And I remember having a couple nights by myself, 10 years old. And I remember this one conversation I had with God, just praying and be like, Lord, I've lived a pretty good life up to this point. Like, so if this is it, like, that's okay. Even 10 years old, I have so much
Wow.
love for 10-year-old Dallin. He's amazing. I really have kind of come to accept that I'm a 10-year-old in a 28-year-old's body. And I really think he's kept me at that 10-year-old level of just appreciation. And that's how I feel the most me, is just going back to that. But yeah, that was acceptance too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've lived a good life. And there's been other times in that I've had that same prayer, like, hey, I've lived a good life, or this went okay, but if you want to take this out, if you want to remove this, remove it. And he is merciful and he knows what he's doing. And I'm still here on this earth, and I'm grateful I am.
Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, that is sweet. It's like, you know what? I had a pretty good life so far. Oh my God, you're 10. You haven't lived. That is so sweet. My son is 10 and he told me he wants to get baptized. I asked him, I said, so what does it mean to be baptized? And he was like, um, I'm gonna be washed over by the Lord. I said, oh, okay. Yes, sure. Guess you're gonna go ahead and get baptized. I was baptized when I was around 8 years old. I think I was between 8 and 10. I can't remember it. The only thing I remember is my nana saying, "You're gonna go get baptized," and I didn't know why or what for, or I was like, "Okay." I mean, I can't tell my nana no, and I don't have a choice because I'm already here at the church. She just said, and I'm gonna go get baptized. So I've definitely had a journey um, within myself because getting baptized when I really didn't know much about it, um, I wouldn't say that was my acceptance of Jesus Christ in my life. I was um 19 when I really said, okay, God, let's do this. I was 19. Yep. And so being baptized that early for me maybe was a covering type of thing because we'll never know. But I do believe that I have been covered. So just my nana acting out, and I don't know if it was obedience or would she feel like every child should just get baptized? Maybe it was. But I feel like that was sealing a coverage over me because there has been a lot of crazy things in my life that I know at any point I could have been out of here. So yeah, that definitely was a big thing for me. 10-year-old daily rescue.
Hi everyone! Join the Kingdom Fanatics community. Get exclusive content, green room access with our guests, and more. Visit our website at whogodsays.com. Like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate your love and support. To find all information on joining our community, being a guest on the show, donating on our PayPal donation page, and more. Visit us at whogodsays.com. Now back to the show.
Oh my gosh. So I wanted to ask you about your mission trip. So you went on a mission trip for 2 years. Where did you go?
I went to Idaho, so some southwest parts of Idaho, and there's
Okay.
some tech like Meridian and Boise, but there's also some really farm town like Parma. There's like corn, 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 and more corn. Like literally eating dinner with a family, and there's like we made this right outside, and it's like the best corn I've ever had.
Wow.
So it was an amazing experience.
So Idaho, what were you there to do? What was the mission?
Yeah, the mission was to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and to encourage people to, yeah, just help them out with their journey and to help them to find strength. And I believe in the Book of Mormon. I believe that there's living prophet on the earth today. These are things that I believe is part of my faith, and those are things that I shared as part of my mission trip. But mostly I wanted to get to know Christ better. That was something that my cousin Clark told me before I went on my mission, is like, make that your mission, just to get to know Jesus Christ better. If you do that, then literally everything else is going to change. And I realized more and more how timeless that wisdom was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's more or less what it was about, was to spread that love and spread his joy, and to get to know that joy better and be able to express it better. And believed it was the best preparation for the rest of my life was going and doing that. And it established me more in my faith. I know there's a lot of things that have been sent against my faith. There's a lot of crazies. There's a lot of misinformation, and it's gotten me solid, but I just want to be spreading as much love to all faiths as much as possible. I've been going to a lot of Baptist churches and some other things, and it's been so beautiful, the love I feel there. And it's just like, I just have to keep spreading that love. But yeah, that's what I was there to do, was to learn more about that and to also suffer with him. It says in Romans 8:18, for I reckon I know that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed in us. And Romans 8:16 talks about, if we will suffer with him, we will rejoice together with him. And there's times where I would suffer with him because somebody was like smoking, and like, sorry, I like my smoking, my cigarettes more. And I suffered with Christ in that moment for that person, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously not like anything, but just my own way of being able to feel it, where my heart was torn open for this person. And I also saw a lot of miracles.
Wow. So on that trip, when you think about Idaho and you're saying like it's a big farm town in our state, and usually when I see like a small town or what we call country towns, we would see a lot of churches. So why would it benefit anyone to go to a small town which probably had a lot of churches there to do a mission trip? Like what would be any benefit for that?
I think a lot of it's the people you can meet and the impact you can have. I mean, there was youth I met there that I know, like with Parma, for example. I got to be there at my 8-month mark of being on my mission, so it's 2 years. And the Lord just gave me so much love for the people there. And at one point, they were going to move one of us out, and everybody was certain that I was going to stay. And I was like, I'm so excited. Like, I want to stay. And I was only there for a couple months, and I got moved out to somewhere else. And I was like, that's when I got moved to Meridian. And I was like, and Meridian was untouched territory at that point, like at least for my mission. And I was like, this is crazy. And I kept praying for those people all throughout my mission, and then come down to the last couple months of my mission, and I was praying and praying, and wouldn't you know it, he sent me back to that Parma again. And one of the kids, I remember walking into church, and he saw me. He's like, "You came back. Like, I recognize you. I know you. I love you. I care about you." And it's a very beautiful thing. And I just felt that connection, and I was able to see that growth in myself. And that was a great gift, because I saw myself at 8 months and also at 22 or so months. And there's tons of growth, and I was able to have new experiences. And so a lot of it is for the one, And that's how a
Yes.
lot of my journey is right now. Like, I'll go to gas stations and I'll talk to a ton of different people just to find that one person he wants me to talk to. And I don't
Yeah.
even need to know who that is. But I think a lot of it is just about the one-on-one thing, because once somebody has felt God's love, they can't deny that, you know? It's a beautiful thing.
Definitely undeniable. Yeah, I admire you. Going in a place where you're very unfamiliar with it, and pretty much the only thing you have is your faith. And yeah, you got sent away, and when you came back, you didn't understand that you actually impacted someone before you had to get sent away.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And then being in that place, um, those kids or the people that's there are probably used to repetition. They know they have to till the land. They have routines every day. Yes, they may go to church, but everything becomes repetition. And so when I think about doing a mission trip in a place, like I said, when I think about a small town and it's mostly like a farm town, there's usually a lot of churches. But again, there are people who are used to repetition. And when someone comes in and it's no longer repetition, it's no longer, oh, we went to church today because it was required. It's now we made a choice to go to church because we wanted to be in community. God didn't make us to be here alone. We have to do this as a part of the kingdom. That perspective shift absolutely impacts people. So it doesn't become repetitious or religious. It's now more of connection, community, and that's what Christ is about, connection. It's not about what your practices are and your rituals and your traditions and um, what's supposed to happen at 10 a.m. every Sunday. You know, it's about that connection. It's about that love, that community. And so that person that you connected with was able to see that. They were able to see that, and that's why the impact was there, which is absolutely beautiful. What do you think that you learned most about yourself during that mission trip or after that mission trip was over?
He's in control. He's in control of everything, because there's people that I wanted to help more that that got baptized when I came back. And so I realized
Mhm.
that it was not me. I was just the
Mhm.
instrument, and he was making all these things happen behind the scenes, and he was preparing joys that I couldn't even imagine, you know, and that he was able to use my effort. So really just that he's in control. He has everything figured out, and he has ways figured out that we cannot fathom. Like, he has everything figured. So when he says I have it figured out, and when he says I can make this happen in your life and you don't have to worry about this, and you get that clear confirmation, he's saying, seriously, no, I'm not even kidding. Like, it is figured out, period, exclamation mark, done. It is written, it is done. Seriously, it's done, it's over. It's
Yes.
already done. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Whew, I know it takes a lot of people to long time to get to that point where you're just like, well, he's God. Let's just do it his way. He's God. Let's just whatever he says, he's God. I think we fight so much for control. We fight so much to be heard, um, that we lose sight of God being in his place as creator, as father. Like we forget about him being a provider. We forget about him being our protector and our guide. So we want to have some type of control, and then we forget about him actually taking up the space in our lives that he's supposed to already have. So it takes people a long time to get that and to get to that space. And it's amazing when you can actually fall into that and be wholeheartedly accepting of that. And like you said earlier, acceptance continue to come because we continue to grow. And it's amazing when you really have that understanding. It's like the veil being lifted. Like you're just aha moment. The light bulb went off. Oh yeah. Like it always happens like that for me.
Yeah, TyShaundra, I'd love to hear, so you made that decision to start your podcast, and I love your podcast, by the way. I just listened to the interview with
Oh,
Morgan McCarver,
thank
and
you.
yeah, they've definitely hit, and I will be a consistent listener, encourager of you for sure, because you're doing amazing things. What have you
Thank
learned? Yeah, what have you learned about God moving in your life since making that decision and not waiting? You just kind of trusted it and went for it. And there's been a lot of miracles, like all these people showing up to be on your podcast and stuff. What have you learned about acceptance from that?
Ooh. So, what I would say that I learned the most was release. The biggest thing that I talk about a lot is control. Is because I've always had this problem with holding on to things. So the biggest thing I've learned was release. I have to release my own false control, because we should already understand we're not in control of anything. God is in control of everything. But that false sense of, oh, if I can hold on to this, I know what to do with it. That control, I had to release it. I was never a fan of being in front of the camera, not being on the mic. I don't want too much attention. I'm okay with attention if it comes, but I'm not the person that wants to walk in the room and then there's instantly a spotlight and all eyes are on me. I'm not that person. So I had to release pretty much everything I thought I knew about myself, because holding on to that person that I thought that I built that person to be was not the person that God wanted me to be. So I had to release that. The biggest thing I've learned from, especially doing a podcast, is releasing. It's not always a bad thing. It's not.
Wow. Yeah, I really love that answer, because it makes me think about like narrative reconstruction and like, okay, we're
Yeah.
changing who this character is, because you clearly are helping me see like it's not really this and this. It's like, okay, we need to, you know, make more space for this part of me, because that is much more in line with what you want me to do. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. And also there's those gifts that he could have like kind of spring forth out of nowhere too. Like, where did this come from? I don't know. And it's like, it's time. And if it's time, then that thing will shine forth and make its grand debut, like, hello,
Let me
oh, I
see.
didn't know I didn't know I could do this. It's like, that's the Holy Spirit, helping make these things happen. It talked about it in First Corinthians 12:11, or maybe Second Corinthians. No, I think it's First Corinthians. Yeah, it says to seek earnestly the best gifts, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, if you're doing it for the good of building the kingdom, like, there's no limit to that. Period. Absolutely no limit at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's a big thing when um I know a lot of time with women, we often say, "Oh, I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose myself. I'm becoming a mother, but I don't want to lose myself in that. I'm a wife, but I don't want to lose myself in that. I'm a career woman. I don't want to lose myself." But what I have learned, especially in release, is that the self that we think we are, the self that we are like, "Oh, this is me. I know," that self, if you surrender to God, will be reconstructed. You have to release it. And again, it's not always bad. It's not a bad thing, because God has your best interest at heart. Like, He knows what's 100% best for you. So that surrender and that ripping away of who you were or who you knew yourself to be is not you killing off anything that is so valuable that it will destroy you. It will actually progress you in a way that is pretty much unbelievable. It's unbelievable for me, but there's nothing too hard for my God. There's nothing impossible for Him. And so when I strip away, or when He starts stripping away things that I knew about myself, or that I valued about myself, or that I just had those boundaries and those standards of this is who I am and this is what I'm about and this is how it's going to go, those things are usually shaped by your perception and what you believe to be real. But once you know the truth, and He is the truth, all of those things start to be ripped away. And my pastor always says it's like pruning a garden. The garden has to be pruned. It may hurt, but it has to be pruned. In order for it to grow, it has to be pruned. And that's just the way that I look at it now. It's like, yeah, in order for this to be effective, in order for me to be effective and to do what God has created me to do, a rose is meant to bloom. And the only way they can bloom is if you cut off the weeds. But the rose is comfortable with growing with the weeds. But you got to cut them off or they're suffocating.
Definitely. Yeah, John 15 talks about like abide in him. Like you can't have any fruits like without him. And that's the beautiful thing about my journey right now. I'm like, I need faith because I'm not sure how this is happening. I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know how this is happening. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy. And he put it on my heart, like, you're never working for anybody else again. Like, you're working for me. I'm making this happen. Like, you've been very faithful. You've been putting all these things in order. Now watch me lift all these things you've been working on behind the scenes and build an empire right behind you,
Starting and growing a business while dealing with your finances can be overwhelming and stressful. Emerald Services provides packages tailored to your business needs to help you mitigate taxes, stay compliant, plan for your future, and save money so you can focus on being the creative, influential visionary that delivers your dreams to the world. Because what you focus on is what will multiply. Schedule your discovery call today to find out ways Emerald Services can benefit your life plan and your business plan. Visit emeraldserve.com or call 504-603-6059.
And he works while we're sleeping. I know that for sure. And so, yeah, it's very humbling. And I was listening to some of my old journals because I sometimes do audio journals and stuff and record my prayers and stuff to help me to consider like, how is my prayer life and what have I learned? And I was really mind blown and saying all this amazing stuff, how much God was helping me. I was like, this is before you had your book out. This is before you had like all these miracles and stuff that happened. And that's when it really hit me. Like, this is not about circumstances at all. This is about where your heart's at. This is about your closeness to God in this moment. And there were times in that moment where it's like, I felt really close to God, and that's great. But like, everything else was going to change because he changes you on the inside. And then everything else outwardly changes. And that's the most beautiful thing about it, TyShaundra, because there's people that think that I've just been hanging out in my parents' house doing absolutely nothing. And the Lord has been putting me through this absolutely brutal masterclass to get me to this place where I am completely like, send me anywhere. I'm ready. I'm going. I'm doing it. And it's going to lead to crazy stuff in the next couple months or so. I just feel it. I know it. I just hear it in my voice. I just know it. It's happening. And it's like, people are going to be like, what the heck happened? God happened.
That's right.
He happened, and he made all kinds of things happen in my life. And again, just a surrender thing, because I graduated from college and had a job fall right through the cracks, and all these other things happening that broke me. I let it break me, but that showed me how fragile my understanding of self was and how I really needed to know who God saw me as. And that is what my first book, God is Trying to Talk to Me, talks about, has 25 poems of me talking to God about my situation, things falling through the cracks and things I was learning, and then 25 poems of what I felt he was saying back to me. And yeah, it was a very beautiful thing, but it all goes back to him talking about my identity and potential. That's really what it came back to. He really was like, circumstances are a thing, but like it's like anything. You care about the field. The field's the precious thing. The seasons come and go, but it's like he takes care of the field, and the bird falls, and he knows it. He knows all of it. So
yeah. I want to ask about, you had a trip to Alaska, right? And you were a youth counselor there?
Yeah, the church has a For Strength of Youth program, and so I got to be a counselor right after
Oh.
college, and that was really beautiful too, because my thought process has been like, Lord, send me anywhere. Like with,
Mhm.
I mean, I know there's been some experiences in my life that have prepared me to have that mentality, but that really is very strongly my mentality, like send me anywhere. And then I remember getting the email that said, we're sending you to Alaska, and I was like, yes, Lord, yes, finally we get, like, I know we're on the same page with this, because it's like, I know that you will take me wherever you want to take me, because I loved Idaho. That was amazing. That was my mission. That was where I needed to be. But it's
Yeah.
like, this is it. Like, he knows, like, he can trust me with this kind of stuff. And that's something I also want to talk a little bit about. This is like, that was the theme of the conference, was trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean on thine own understanding. And the funny thing is, when I was being the counselor, I was being so critical of myself, TyShaundra. I was like,
Mm.
this is exactly what I did not do. I am not a good example of this. Beautiful youth, precious youth. I am definitely, but it's like, I was doing what I could do. I was there. I was
Yeah.
putting myself on the line. And it was a beautiful thing, because I saw miracles on miracles there. And yeah, but it was really tough, because I felt that me not having a great job was because I didn't trust the Lord enough, and
Mm.
et cetera, et cetera. And now I just realized it was all a setup. It's all a setup. It's like, yeah, you are in a very good place, and I just cannot deny all those spiritual experiences I had there, just feeling
Yeah.
so encouraged and lifted, and I just got to see a whole new world, and I got to experience a whole new world by myself, just me and him. And it was just a real gift. And Alaska felt like another world. And that was one of my poems from the book, is called Alaska is Like Another World.
Wow. I have never been to Alaska. I keep saying I'm allergic to cold, but I actually now want to go. I have a coworker who lives in Alaska, and she's like, it's really beautiful, and uh, everything that you see in the movies are not true. But I want to visit. I don't know about staying, but I will visit. I will visit, and that's just taking baby steps. But did you think that you would automatically be the youth counselor on that mission trip? And like, how did you feel about actually being the person with this responsibility over young minds?
There's something I prayed a lot about when I was like
Mhm.
14 and 15, because I was like
Wow.
5'6" or 5'7", and I was really short. And I was like, Lord, I want to be able to reach out to people and lift up people and encourage people. And that's what I want so bad. And he positioned me and just like molded me and took care of me. And, by junior year of high school, I was 6'1". And then I grew a
Wow.
couple inches on my mission, and now I'm 6'5 3/4" or something like that. Yeah. So he's helped me to have that. And it's been really a wonderful thing. But I had experiences in college of reaching out to youth here and there, and I know he's given me a heart to lift up the youth. And so
Mhm.
I think one of the things that really helped me too was for my Eagle Scout project, I made a basketball camp for kids age 9 through 11. And I know he just gave that all to me, and it was just so beautiful. And so he's just definitely helped me have
That's so good.
experiences that help me build up my faith. And I had all kinds of people just telling me, hey, you need to be a For Strength of Youth counselor. And I was like, yeah,
Wow.
I'm probably going to do it. And, but there's just multiple people telling me that, and feeling only good about it, and just kind of trusting him on it.
Yeah.
It's like the time's going to go by either way. Right. So we might as well trust him with the time that we have. And we're also going to be able to talk to him, about a lot of this stuff. I believe we'll all get to talk to him about different things. And I don't know
Yeah.
how that's going to happen, but the answer and the question is not what happened, it's how did you respond, and what did
Mhm.
you do, and did you learn from that experience?
Yep.
And I want to learn like 20 times more than any difficult thing. Like whenever anything happens, I'm like, yes, hallelujah. Let's go as deep as possibly can and learn as much as we can from this, because this is not going to be wasted. We're not going to waste this.
Yes. Yeah. Like one of my guests said, you live 7 years, or did you live the same year 7 times? Have you learned anything? I love that. I am a big learner, even though I don't like school too much, but I am a big learner. I seek out information. I seek out understanding and things like that. So I don't want to be known as the person who knows everything, because I don't know everything, but I also don't want to be in a situation where I don't have any understanding as to what's going on. So I am a big learner as well. Um, in Alaska, how did your perspective on God's love change? What happened to change that perspective?
I think he has helped me to notice people in the background.
Mm.
And that's something that happened back when I was trying out for basketball at 14 and 15, and that didn't work out. I ended up being the basketball manager for 3 years and helping out some of the players and stuff and encouraging them and just helping out with the camera and all that stuff. And there was times where I really felt like God saw me, like he was aware of me. Like, here's the game and there's players playing game and I'm moving the camera back and forth, and I didn't know I had ADHD back then and stuff, but I just felt like he was aware of me just as he's aware of everybody playing the game, just as he's aware of everybody playing in the stands. So there was those times in Alaska where I know he was like helping me to see something that nobody else can see. He helped me see hurt. He helped me see beauty. He'll help me see joy. He helped me see power. He helped me see strength. And so I try to tell people that what I see, and that can help them see it themselves. So there's this one dude mowing the lawn in Alaska, and he had his headphones in. And I learned at school that when you go out and talk to somebody with headphones in their ears, it's either I don't want to be talked to or I do want somebody to talk to me.
Mm.
So I just trusted it and I felt it and I couldn't deny it. And I've had times where I kind of leave, but then I come back, and I've learned to just go and just trust and let him take care of it. But I went and talked to that dude who's mowing his lawn. I don't even think he was like very religiously affiliated with anything, but we just talked. I just listened. He told me about some of his goals, and I got his phone number. I was like, hey man, if you ever want to talk or anything. And we just prayed. And he's like, you definitely lifted my spirits today.
Yes.
And he's helped me to see the invisible.
Yes. That is amazing. It's beautiful. That is also amazing. I love that. Oh my God. And I also heard that even if things don't end up the way that you planned them to go, you're okay with serving. You wanted to be on a basketball team, but that didn't happen. So you were helping with the equipment, you were helping with the camera. You're okay with serving. And if you're okay with serving, then God can use you. That's who he wants. He's not looking for the flashy guy. He's not looking for the one who's acceptable to everyone else. You're, hey, well, I'm not going to be the point guard. I can serve. So just even if you didn't understand that that was the position you were placing yourself in, and that was the heart posture that you had, that, hey, I'm still going to serve. That is absolutely amazing, just to have that at the forefront. Hey, I can try out for basketball, but okay, I didn't make it. I'm still going to serve. I'm still going to be a part. And that's what the kingdom is about. You may not be Moses, but you might have to be Aaron. You may not be Joshua, but you may have to be Caleb. So I think having that great understanding that we may not get the shiny things that we want, but are we still willing to serve when we don't get those things that we want the most, like that we're praying the hardest for? And it's not because I know a lot of people say that we may be praying and our intentions may not be right, but maybe your intentions are right. They're just not aligned with what God's will is for you. Will you still serve, or will you have a temper tantrum and kick and scream and holler and say, well, I didn't get what I want, so I don't think that God was really listening. I don't think that God is there. I don't think that God wants this. And now let's just fall out and no. Will you still have that heart posture as I'm still going to serve? He is still good. He is still faithful. He still provides. He still protects. I'm still going to serve. I didn't get the car. I didn't get the job. I didn't get the leadership position at church. I didn't get the solo in the choir. I didn't get that part in the movie. Are you still going to serve? As long as you're willing, he can use you. He can do whatever he wants, but he preferred to use us to get it done. That is amazing. That's amazing. I want you to tell us about running. Why is running so important to you?
Yeah, thank you so much for the kindness and the appreciation and everything. For me, running has helped me to understand what God is doing for us all the time is running and knocking on the door and encouraging us and saying, I love you. I just want to talk to you. Can we talk about this? I know you are hurting. I know you are in pain. I know that this person said this and you cannot let go of it. And that is not true, but you need to talk to me about this. And so, yeah, I wasn't very fast, and not making the basketball team was the best thing that could have happened to me, because I ended up doing track for 3 years and got my mile time down lower each
Wow.
year, and missed 3 practices in 3 years. One was for a chemistry test. One was for, I don't know, some other stuff, but it worked out. And for me, I don't like to leave anything undone, and I don't want to miss any days at all. And so, yeah, he just used that. And I had times being able to lift up people on the track team. And so we went from sophomore year, where people were like, hey, keep up the good work, keep running. Because I was slow as cheese, in the beginning. Cheese without wheels, like cheese that can't move, like you're just the cheese, you can't help that cheese needs help, but lately I got more help, and my vehicle, my brain was able to put into higher gear, and you saw all my grades go, it's just everything went up. The rising tide raises all boats, and so running raised my tide of my entire life, period. And it was a real wonderful thing. And then my senior year, I was the one that was encouraging the freshmen and the sophomores, like, yeah, this is kind of rough, but like, stay with it. Like, I'm here. I want to help you out. And it's a beautiful gift. So he gave me exactly what I wanted, just in a way I didn't expect. Instead of being like the basketball star, it was like, woo, googly eyes, look at him. I was the guy behind the scenes in track that was not quite good enough, fast enough to run at states, but was still doing okay in other places, and all the time was being used to lift up other people.
Amazing. That is amazing. I just love your heart. Like, you just, I'm gonna go where I'm needed. I'm gonna do what's needed. Like, I just love your heart. Oh my God. Okay, so God is trying to talk to me. Why did you name your book that? And how did you just decide, yeah, I'm gonna publish this book? What happened?
So we can tell a story that's never been shared at all. So the book was going to be called Planting of Your Stars, because the second poem is called Planting of Your Stars, and I can share that poem a little bit later. But it was me learning to just tell God everything, because that's what I was not really doing. There was times in my life where, leading up to college, I was like, all right, Lord, I know that you kind of want me to think about this, but it's like, I just need to get a job, and we just got to get this going. We just got to get this going, like, because nothing's happening, and all these doors shutting and everything. And then he just took care of me. But as far as the name goes, I sent it in to my illustrator, and I just kind of told her about it, like Planting of Your Stars. And when she sent it back, it said, God is talking to me.
Whoa.
I don't know why she changed it, and it didn't say Planting of Your Stars. It said, God is talking to me. And that for me is like, what is happening right now? And only now in this moment, I realized that was a message, a direct message from God saying he is talking to me. I love you. This is all going to work out. But then I looked at it and I was like, I really think we need to change this up a tiny bit. So I changed it to God is trying to talk to me, and it worked out. But the book was going to be called Planting of Your Stars. And I did do some keyword research, and that was not the play, because if you go type in Planting of Your Stars, brings a bunch of plant books and whatever else. And the Lord doesn't play small. It's like, we need this book to be big, and every person I've shared the name of the title with, they've been like, oh yeah, that hits, because he's trying to get our attention. Revelation 3:20, I stand at the door and knock, and everybody that listens and opens the door, I will sup with him and he with me, and we'll be chilling. It'll be great. But that's the thing, is he's not going to force himself in. I can't see Jesus doing that at all. It's like, all right, I gave you a chance. Now I'm just going to barge. No, absolutely not. I will go knock on another door and we'll come back to you later. And when you're not consumed in something else that's taking care of your eyesight or your ear sight or whatever is coming through, when you're willing to let him in, he's always ready to come in. But yeah, the credit really goes to the illustrator. I think that's a good reminder to me, is like, and that's something too. It's like, let other people contribute. The person behind the scenes might have some banger business idea and they just haven't shared it with anybody. And if you could just help them to get that out there, they're only 3 years away from being a master CEO, like, really, it's time. That's all it is. And God can do wonders with that time. So we just have to love people and encourage them. But yeah, she sent it back to me. I was like, yeah, it's going to be called Planting of Your Stars. Sent it back to me and said, God is talking to me. And I'm like, and he's really taught me to like go with the flow with stuff like that and be like, thank you. Like, not try to control, because I could have been like, this does not say Planting of Your Stars. What is going on? I just was like, okay, and we'll just move on. And then it just kind of clicked. It all clicked. Yeah. If you stick around when it doesn't make sense, it will eventually click. It will all come into place, like Legos, like all that stuff. It will click into place. So you can be like, I don't know how this comes together, but then God comes and he's like, and then the other piece is like, goodbye, we don't need that. But it's like, we got this other thing going on, and he's just aware of it. But yeah, that's a good question, a great question. I've never shared that anywhere, but God is able to make things happen. He's able to provide the titles. He's able to provide anything. Like, he's able to take care of every single little thing.
That's awesome. Do you know how many poems you have in the book?
So there's 50 poems in my first book, and there's going to be 64 in my second book.
Ooh, okay. So you said you were trying to tell God everything. Everything like what?
I mean, I could just share a poem with you real quick.
Okay. Yeah, that would be nice. That's a treat.
Yeah, I have I have a couple of the My Son poems memorized, but I don't have any of the me talking to God poems. So that's the other part of the answer. But I'll just read the first 3. We'll just dive right in. I want to talk to you. So this is like the first one. And I wrote these. So basically the book was only going to have 25 poems, right? Mm-hmm. And it was going to be all these God talking to me poems. But then when I was ready to do that, the Lord really put it on my heart, like, this needs to be more personal, Dallin. And so he gave me 25 moments from this growing and rebuilding and telling him everything, period. And he gave me 25 poems in 3 days. And these are some of, like, people are like, these are amazing. And I was like, it was all him. That was 3 days. Like, that was crazy. I was like, okay, you just do it. So here's the first 3, but these are all written like after the fact, but they're all about those feelings and those prayers I had very early on. So first one's called I Want to Talk to You. Father, I've never doubted your love before, but right now I'm so confused. I'm not amused. What is going on? I feel you've blessed me with talents galore, but where's the door? Have I missed it? Did you forget? I feel upset, like I'm in debt. Reruns going on in my mind, but where are you? I've lost some pieces. Father, I've lost some pieces you asked me to take care of. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I sense these are some of the greatest blessings I've ever had. But great blessing or no, I must continue to show much consideration and care. I must echo to the world that you are there. to not treasure my treasures, gifts more valuable than any earthly measure, I must needs fall. This is why to you I call. I've never felt quite this way before. And here's the third one. The blanket's gone. Father, I'm trying to sleep, but I feel the dark thoughts start to creep. Tell me I'm lost, that I'm no good. I've tried to do everything that I should. It doesn't seem like it was enough. I'm tired of just pushing through, trying to be tough. I once was warm, but now I am cold. I was singing my song, but now the blanket is gone. How I love the life you have given to me. But right now my toes are screaming. I can offer them no immediate release. I have no news to offer them fresh peace. They are cold, as am I. I feel underground, whereas before I touched the sky. Will I get back up there again, filled with confidence to write with my life's pen? I hope so. I do. I am trying to trust you, but it's hard to trust myself. This night is long. My blanket is still gone. The comforts I once wrapped myself in, they gave me rest knowing I'd done my best. They seem so shallow. I have no words for it.
Whoa. That was a lot.
It's kind of deep, just really like, but that's kind of how I am sometimes. So
that was a lot. That was a lot of self-doubt. That was a bit of anger. That was feeling unprotected. That was, oh my God, that was a lot. That was a lot. And it was because we should be comfortable expressing those things to God. We should be comfortable letting Him know that we're scared, that we're mad, we think He's not there, that we're hurting. Oh my God, that we're telling ourselves that we are not who He says we are. All of these things we should be comfortable talking to God about. Your poems are excellent. They're excellent. There are so many people who don't think they are able to fully express themselves to God, to be upset and pray and say, I don't like that happened. I don't know what you're doing here, Lord. I don't like that. This could not be something that you have for me. You done made me mad. It's okay. It's 100% okay. Because you are what? In a relationship. And what happens in relationship? Everything. It doesn't matter which relationship you have. Business, as a parent, as a spouse, and your relationship with God. Everything happens. You're in a relationship. And it should always be okay to communicate in the relationship how you feel. If you're upset, now your feelings are not final, but they're there. And it's okay to share that with God. I don't like this. I think you left me hanging. Why did you leave me hanging when I absolutely wanted you to show up here? You know, that is okay. And I have to applaud you because, first of all, it's hard to admit those things. Secondly, writing them down and then pushing them out for everybody else to see, that is very vulnerable. Very vulnerable. I have to applaud you on that because, woo. I know you said you like audio journal, and you go back and you listen to those. But even when you're auto journaling, it's still like, okay, this is for me. This is for me. I can say what I want. I can just let it all hang out. If I want to fuss about somebody, if I want to scream, all of that is just for me. Well, now you're putting this out to the world for everybody else to see. This is what you actually experience. That's hard, but you are absolutely brave, and you're helping people. You are still serving. And it's amazing that you have not stepped out of who God says you are. You're a servant. And you're a servant for the kingdom. I'm just say this. When I pray, I always picture myself sitting at the foot of Jesus. If I am upset, I kind of can see myself laying my head on his knee and like a beautiful, strong, protective dad. He's like, it's okay. And he's like touching my hair and it's like, it's okay. And all I want to do is please him. And so whatever it is that he needs me to do, if I am not 100% aware of it, he will make me aware. But whatever it is that he needs me to do, I'm there. Frightened, shaken, don't even know what words to say, probably stuttering and everything else, but I'm there because he's there. So I'm going to show up for him because I know he's always going to show up for me. And I love that you have a heart of a servant. That is amazing. That is amazing. You're going to make me cry. I'm going to not cry for this episode. I want you to tell everybody where they can connect with you, where to listen to your podcast, Yield Today podcast, and anything that you have coming up.
Yeah, so my first book, God is Trying to Talk to Me, is on Amazon. I am living at home right now. I'm full-time. This is all I do. Like, the Lord's been putting people in my life out the wazoo and making all this happen. And so glory to him. This is all for him. It's my gift to the world, for what he's done for me. And I will continue to proclaim and go and talk to people at Wendy's and gas stations and wherever he puts me, I know he's able to do wonders in our lives in today's day and age. And then my second book, Patience in These Pages, which is kind of sort of the next step in a way, but it has poems from before the events from God is Trying to Talk to Me. Because I think he's always trying to teach us patience. Like, I literally could have written a poem about patience when I was like, the 10 years old thing, like not knowing what was going to happen, but learning to just be patient because you know that he's good, he's going to take care of everything. And yeah, there's the Yield Today of Dallin Candland podcast that I do. And I have a weekly newsletter too called Yield Deeply, where I talk about my journey and go as deep as I possibly can in sharing scripture. And I really want that to be as accessible as possible. And so I don't say anything about my particular faith. There's nothing about like the differences of that. I just wanted to proclaim Jesus as purely and as deeply as possible. And I have people of a lot of different faiths on there, Baptists, Muslims, people that don't believe in God. I mean, I literally met this one lady at the library not too long ago, and she's just like, there's something about you, and I think this is something I would like to do, even if I don't even believe in God. It's like, hallelujah, praise the Lord, because if I was doing something else, this would not be happening. But because I decided and I'm trusting, then he can make all these things happen in motion. And I'll share that poem with your audience, and I hope this is a strength to them. The poem I wrote called "The Planting of Your Stars," which I felt was one of those answers, and I wrote it back in October of 2022. And I don't even really remember writing it, but he definitely moves, and he can, when it's time, it's time. He just takes care of things, and it all adds up. It all stacks up. When you let things stack up for his glory, you will have a wonderful, wonderful bounty and joy for yourself and for others to enjoy. But it goes like this. My son, on your darkest nights, I implore you to look at the stars. They are lights in the sky. They remind you where you are. You are in my hands as you have always been. You've fallen at times, but still have the most valiant of men. The stars of your life tell a story. I'm aware of you and all of your potential glory. The connections I can orchestrate are beyond anything you can now see. They will all help you become more like me. So trust in the vision that has always guided the planning of your stars. Trust I know exactly where you are. And so I've shared that with a lot of people, and it's been cool. I'm excited. Once the Audible and people are like driving to work and listening to it, it's like, yeah, God's got me, I just know that big things are going to happen. But as of right now, I've been playing T-ball, and I've been like, okay, I want to just do my little part, and he's helping out. He's like, yay. But now I'm like, all right, major leagues, Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll have you swing God, and we'll see what happens in the next couple months. But I'm just excited. I'm grateful for you having me on. But yeah, those are the ways to get in contact with me. I'm always happy to talk with people about my beliefs and just to encourage and lift, because there's so much we can learn from each other.
That's awesome. I love that poem too. Of course, I have the book, so I read it too. But I do want to thank you for spending time with me. I will have all your links below the episode in the description. I encourage you guys to go and get the book. God is trying to talk to me. Even if you just want to get some motivation, if you want to just let your hair down and say, hey, God, I'm here. I don't know where to start. Those are some things. There's a lot of vulnerability, but there's also a lot of uplifting and encouragement. So I would really encourage you guys to go and get Dallin's book. I want to thank you again for stopping by. Thank you for giving me your time. Thank you for sharing your talent and your spirit. Thank you for being a servant of the kingdom. You are absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I also will echo Joshua 3:5. Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. So we keep working on ourselves, and he's able to make wonders happen. He's able to renew our minds and change what we see and how we see ourselves. And I've just seen that over and over and over again in my life. No matter how big I dream, he's like, you dream bigger, my son. It's bigger. I promise it's bigger than that. And it's bigger than anybody's ever given you any kind of credit for. People are like, hey, you need to get a job and stuff like that. Like, trust me, it's going to be big, and you just have to trust me. And that's the most beautiful thing. So it can only get better from here. As you just give everything to him, it can only get better. And that's my story in a nutshell. Is I was feeling all these feelings. I didn't even know if I was ever going to be able to share those things. And lo and behold, God helped me put it in a book. You know, it's like, that's crazy. So it all worked out beautifully. And I'm so thankful. Everything works together for those who love God. You know, he is able to make everything happen. So that's what I'll leave you with.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on the Who God Says podcast with your host and Kingdom Ambassador, TyShaundra. Go to whogodsays.com to join the mailing list for episode premieres, upcoming guests, and more. Send in your questions to be a part of the show at whogodsays@gmail.com. And don't forget, join the Kingdom Fanatic community. Until next time, be blessed and also be a blessing.